The Laemiska Pirates. Chapter 3. Pirates! Single ship. Just emerged, the Marne responded as Shiver went through the bridge. Reading Terran Reaver class. Burning hard for chase intersect. The tension on the bridge snapped tight. Oh my god! Are they pirates? Yamasa exclaimed, fear and excitement warring in her tone. Vasava spared a quick, sharp look at the back of her head. Just 10 years ago, that statement would have been too ludicrous even for someone of her intelligence. These days, however, calmed, hail them. Perhaps they were just sightseeing as we are. Those Terrans certainly have gotten inquisitive ever since they got free of their system. He tried to inject disinterest in his words. No response to hail, nor are they responding to automated IFF. They don't appear to have their transponder on, the smallish, almost ferret-looking Jik-Jik at the communications panel reported. This doesn't smell right. Belay that, Bosquick snapped out. We don't know enough yet to make that call. Vasavas watches both Yamasa and Trissola shivered at the words. Time to intercept? 34 minutes to engagement, envelope, Rogue Valsavas nav responded. Open waves, comms. At the Jik-Jik's nod, he continued in a stern voice. Approaching Terran vessel. This is Rogue Valsavas of the Tarosk Valshin. You are ordered to respond. You are approaching in an aggressive manner. Do you need assistance? Several minutes ticked by. Valsavas flicked a switch and the armor started moving across the portal as the main screen descended back down. Incoming transmission, Makuraka spoke from his comm panel. On screen. The screen resolved to a bridge that very few had seen outside of streams. The sharp, unyielding lines of a Terran warship, though also different than the ones used in the war. Where the ones shown on the streams had been clean and orderly, the view of this bridge gave the impression of clutter. What were apparently trophies were strewn about almost haphazardly, including fine fabrics hanging over chairs. But those details were noticed in passing. All eyes were riveted by the creatures displayed. Terrans came in various shades of skin color, ranging from complete black, like the hulking figure standing behind the captain's chair, bristling with weapons, including the stout of a light cannon poking up over his massive shoulder, to the almost pure white of the female lounging in the pilot's chair, a diaphanous gold and silver dress draping around her sensuous curves like water. The rest of the crew visible were shades in between, including the captain. While not as massive as the one standing behind him, he was not slight by any standard. His skin was dark tan, as could be seen not only by his clean-shaven face framed by long black hair, but also the expanse of his chest, his blue silk shirt revealed to the waist, the dark curls of his chest hair only mostly hiding from the skin and muscles underneath. He was leaning back in the chair, one leg stretched out, while the other was hooked on one of the cushions, his arm draped over it. A large pistol of some curious sort was holstered on his hip, and a large sword was leaning against the side of his station. Hello, Captain Valsavas. I am Captain Montoya the Hispaniola. His voice was thick and in a very odd accent. And yes, there is something you can assist me in. I need you to cut all power and shields, and prepare to be boarded. I wish to pluck from your grass the delightful fruits you might carry. His eyes moved to Miyamasa and roamed over her body lasciviously. Yes, the very delightful fruits. Unless I am greatly mistaken, that is Severian Miyamasa, no? He looked around the bridge as everyone chuckled evilly. You Terrans, Valsavas all but spit. You gain a little freedom and skill for yourselves in the war, and you immediately go back to your old barbaric ways. We brought you out of that cesspool you call a planet. The Terran captain got a pained look on his face. It is no cesspool. It is our home. And yes, we say our prayers to the great Horsida for releasing us from our prison. However, you had nothing to do with that. And, he held up one finger, everyone has to eat. Don't you agree, mi amigo Vagres? Gasps went around the bridge, including a few oh my gods, as Vagres moved into the camera view. As Easlank went, Rovasavis knew this was a medium size. Its equine lower section looked more like an average pony than a draft pony. Its upper, man-like torso and four massive arms, only partially hidden by its chest shield, were well-muscled but not power-lifter shape. But when it moved to stand behind the black Terran behind the captain, it towered over the man, and if anything, it had more weapons visible, including the large hilts of two apparently massive swords poking up over its shoulders. Yarp! The gravelly low growl from its mouth sent shivers through almost everyone on the bridge as it gnashed its teeth, driving home the message. Montoya smiled, showing gleaming white teeth that were surprisingly nearly as intimidating as the Easlanks behind him. See, we are all in agreement, yes? You will comply? If you do, I will just give my second command. He hooked his thumb over his shoulder at the ease-leg. That pretty young thing next to your commander, and maybe one other. As Velsavas leaned forward, the eyes of the two civilian Devane on his bridge turned to look at him, panicked. You sick, pathetic pegtole. Conspiring with the enemy now? How low will you Terrans go? He flipped his hand to the screen. But no, you bore me now. If I had my own ship, I would destroy you and your ship just for practice. But I will not risk the guests on my ship. So chase us if you dare. A flick of his hand and an Ethan nudge, and Mercury cut the link, the screen going back to the image of the quad star. Nav, ahead full. Don't spare the react mask. Engineering, get me all you can out of the reactor. Tactical, full power to the weapons. Save the missiles, though, until they get much closer. Boswick, what are we looking at for the hooks to be ready? The Venex shook his head, his voice conveying the doom he was feeling. These aren't military grade. We still have almost 2 hours before they are ready. Nav, time to intercept, the rogue captain snapped out. 47 minutes to outside engagement range. 58 minutes border range, came the worried response. Boswick's eyes joined those of the civilians on the bridge, on the captain. Velsavas caught each of the girl's panic-filled eyes, his face drawing back into a death grin. Those Terrans don't know what they are getting themselves into. It's one thing to read the navigation charts on this system. It's quite another to know it as only a full row can. He turned to Boswick. We're going to fly the path. As he leaned back, reclining the chair completely, the two female Devane looked at the Venex commander, questions warring on their eyes. Boswick growled and shook his head. He's going to fly the path of one of the suns around the neutron star. He can make it there before the pirates can catch up to us. He will be hiding in the gas and debris that form the rings. He intends to use that to buy us time for our hooks to charge. At that point, we can make a crash entrance they can't follow us through. Imas looked at him closely. That seems like a sound tactical choice. So why does everyone, including you, look worried? Boswick looked around quickly, then leaned forward. It is a gas and debris ring. To be the most effective at shielding us, he has to go into the ring with the most solid debris in it as well. At the speeds he'll be going, it won't take a very large chunk to disable or destroy us. Perhaps Captain Montoya is only kidding about feeding us to the East-Link? Tosola asked in a quivering voice, eyes wide. They fight hard against them as well in the war. That's not a chance I'm willing to take, Velsavas barked. If you two wish to use the bridge-ready chamber, now would be the time to go. Otherwise, pull the straps tight and prepare for a ride like you have never experienced. Your 10th children's 10th children will be talking about this. Trsola looked at Yamasa, but only saw passionate conviction. Stay focused, Trsola. We shall not waste this opportunity. Attend your scanners. We will be getting readings I am sure none others have. With a groan, the Sec First turned back to her monitors and tightened her straps one last time. Excellent choice, my sailors, Velsavas called. Here we go. The Talvarosk wasn't a massive ship, barely half a kilometer long and a third as wide, but it was significantly more massive than the Reaver class closing in on them, and it had been built primarily for long haul, not combat maneuvering or speed. As it slid into the glowing gas trail ring of the Yellow Star, the other ship had closed to almost extended engagement range. The large ship made it almost to the center of the ring and then slewed quickly to bring it in line with the flow. The Terran ship slipped in quickly behind, making the turn sharper, closing the gap even more. Bolts of light started stuttering out from its nose, but at the extreme range they were, few even hit the shields. Many even exploded into flashes of light well before hitting on extra dense gas or even a few boulder-sized rocks. Amid the increasing size and frequency of the solid debris, the Talarosk started to show an advantage that none except her captain expected. While the Terran ship was designed for combat, the Devane ship was also designed for very close quarters, precise maneuvering, as anyone who had had to pilot a ship like it through civilian transit lanes around planets and star docks would see the need of. Velsavas only swerved at the last minute to avoid chunks that could have disabled or destroyed her, often using her east tractors to pull on the larger masses to give them both more velocity and make things more chaotic behind her for her pursuer. The Reaver ship, however, had to make wider moves around the same, not having the precision control needed on the civilian ship, and so had to slow. But not completely. Kilometer by slow kilometer, it closed the gap. More shots than not were hitting the shields now, though none had penetrated yet. Time till optimal launch range for their boarders? Vilsavas queried, not opening his eyes. 3 minutes, Row, Nav responded. The time passed slowly for everyone on the bridge except for the captain as he was deep in the aether, flying the ship on a tortured path that was just ahead of the inertial damping efforts of the east generators. Then 3 minutes were passed. And a fourth. Vilsavas' chuckle startled most on the bridge. Didn't think so. He grinned at Yamasa and Trisolo when they looked at him in surprise, still not opening his eyes. They aren't willing to risk themselves while we're in the thick of this thing. They will try to finish closing and get a disabling shot through. Boss quick. Time till the hooks are ready. 47 minutes, Mero, the commander responded, voice still reserved. They will be in optimal firing range soon. Shall we start launching missiles? No. Almost no chance with what we have on board to get past the shields and countermeasures the Reaver class has. Much less scratch its ugly hull, the Row responded. We need a little more time. And here is where we get it. The ships had been chasing the yellow star and were now catching up. The closer it got, the more gas it was flying through. But solid debris had fallen to almost nothing. Tactical, prepare to fire all beam weapons at a point 3 kilometers directly astern the ship. Confirm when ready. The Batric's fingers flew over his controls. Ready. 3, 2, 1. Fire! The screen had switched to show the stern of the ship. 4 ship cannon fired into a particularly dense cloud of gas that the ship's passage had just churned with its aether wake, and which Vilsavas had used the east tractors to pull into a ball behind them. The 4 bolts converged and exploded. At first nothing happened. Then a glow grew rapidly, expanding exponentially until it erupted in a massive explosion that engulfed the pursuing craft and caused the aft cameras to blank out with the intensity of the light. As soon as the fireball erupted, everyone was all but thrown out of their seats and then shoved down hard in their seats as Vilsavas spun the ship on its central axis, then down relative to their previous vector. In the blink of an eye, they were out of the stream, the yellow star beneath them, emergency acceleration pushing them back in their seats as they drove hard for the flow of the gas and debris on the far side. Status, Vilsavas barked out. The Terran ship incredulously caused Boswick to pause in surprise. It pulled opposite us. It's being forced to go over the star. Current time to intercept is now 1 hour and 27 minutes. He turned to look at his captain in surprise, along with the civilians on the bridge. You've escaped them. How did you know that they would pull that way? The Row chuckled as he brushed off his uniform under their gazes. I've had a chance to study these Terrans rather closely. They are an infant race, new to space. They still tend to think of it as atmosphere of a planet. Out of ingrained habit, any surprise like that will force them to pull up so they don't crash into the ground. He was interrupted by collision alarms going off, followed almost immediately by breach klaxons. Suit helmets quickly and automatically deployed, startling everyone for half a breath.